Hello, everybody, wherever you may be. My name's Larry. My call sign is Kilo 7 Hotel November. From around the world, welcome to our Ham Shack. This is Ham Radio Live. I'd like to ask you to please hit the subscribe button. We don't put monetization in our shows, so you don't see any commercials. You can help me out by clicking that subscribe button. It helps people find the channel on YouTube that just might have an interest in learning about ham radio and joining us on the air. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure. It truly is. Today is Thursday, March the 19th, 2021. 2 days away from springtime. Not that we're counting the days here, of course. Hi, everybody, wherever you may be. Welcome to the Shack. Wow, I got like weirdo hair today. How are you? Good to see you. Welcome to the show. Man, it's like I'm doing my hair here. What are you going to do? We're friends, right? We can hang out together. We're like mates at the bar. We're just hanging out. Hi there. It's good to see you guys. Welcome to Thursday, the 19th of March. I am keeping track. I am waiting for spring because spring means it's going to get warmer and it's going to get longer days. Yes, I am. So, my favorite time of year. Welcome to the show. Going to be a good show. First of all, going to ask you, please hit the subscribe button. It'll help people find the channel here on YouTube. Truly will. And if they'd like to learn about ham radio, well, I'd be honored to help them learn a little bit along together, okay? Also, wait for the very end. Truly. Wait for the very end. If you are watching this on replay and maybe you don't have a whole lot of time, just scroll to the end. It's well worth it, and I think that it's very respectful, okay? So please do me that favor. Watch the close today. It's a very special, special close. Thanks a lot for coming today. It's great to see you. Let's say hellos to everybody before we start the show. We're going to work on general exam questions today because there's a lot of demand for that. My goodness, thank you already for thumbs up. My goodness gracious, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So we'll work on general questions. We're going to talk about the beginning of EME. For those that don't know what EME is, to put it in layman's terms, like we try to do here on the channel, it's bouncing our signals off the moon. How it began, and we're going to take a look at a video of someone who does moon bounce. Should be a lot of fun. And we'll see if maybe we can call on a really unique antenna. I couldn't sleep last night. I went to the doctor. You know those doctor's appointments where the doctor has to feel everything, right? You're already sore, okay? And the doctor says, please lay down on the table. Okay, yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem. Does it hurt here? No! Yeah, pretty much. Really right there. You got the spot. Okay, how about here? Nope, not there. How about here? Nope, good there. How about here? Yep, that hurts. Okay. And literally, he tells me, okay, look, we're going to do a cortisone injection. Now, if this doesn't work, call me in 2 weeks and we'll order an MRI. Great. Perfect. Okay. Does it hurt here? No. Yeah. Like literally 6 more times. And I'm like, come on, man. Stop doing this to me. Anyway, so one of the things that cortisone does to me is it makes it hard to sleep. So I've been up all night. So what do you do at 2 o'clock in the morning? We're going to talk about that in just a little bit, too. Hi, Stu, all the way in Great Britain. My goodness, what a joy to see you. Welcome to the show. I thought, man, if we can get close to 20 UTC, Stu will be here. I'm so glad you're here. Fozzie talks. Fozzie talks. Like Fozzie Bear? That's so stinking cool. Welcome to the show. Man, that's awesome. I love the name. That's pretty sweet. Thank you so much. Peter Woods is here. Thank you, Peter, for coming to the channel. We appreciate it. John is here. He's here from the state of Texas. He is Kilo Golf 5 Victoria Kilo Alpha. John, thanks for coming. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I mean that. Thank you very much. We've got somebody all the way in Germany here, too. There's Gunter. Welcome to the show from Sheer Harbor City, Studio C in Germany. Good to see you, Gunter. Thanks for being here. Oh, look at this. Fozzie's my 7-year-old son. He's very interested in radio. My goodness! Fozzie, welcome to the show. Big old hand for you, my friend. Heck yeah. Welcome. It's really nice to meet you. Welcome. You know, we're only separated by a big old ocean and a giant continent, but hey, I want you to know it's really nice to meet you. Thanks for being here today, Fozzie. We'll try and talk about ham radio today and maybe make a call. Now, I'll tell you what, if we don't make the call in this little experimental antenna, we'll change to another one so we can make some calls, hopefully for you, so you can see what it's like in this part of the United States. So where you're at in Great Britain, if you were to come over the Atlantic Ocean to the United States, you'd be on the East Coast. You'd have to travel all the way across the country to get to the northwest corner of the U.S., and that's where I am. It's an honor to meet you today, Fozzie. Thank you for being here. I do mean that. Thank you so much. John is here from Canada. John, welcome to the show. Good to see you, buddy. My goodness. Sheer Rock Harbor. Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Welcome to the show, Gunter. All right, we're going to go into some general questions and show you a really cool antenna idea you come up with at 2 o'clock in the morning. Plus, we're going to talk about moon bounce, its origins, and someone who does it. I hope you enjoy the show today. Welcome to the show. It's great to see you. And my goodness gracious, my doctor's calling me right now. Not good timing, but there you go, right? Okay, we'll get back to them in just a little bit. Now, on with the show. First, general question. We got folks who are trying to get their license. What the heck is this right here, huh?
That's all, folks.
Pretty much. Most people are tuned out now. They're done. It's like, forget it. We're all done. We're done. Okay. The question is going to ask, which symbol is the Zener Diode? That's going to be the question. Which symbol here is the Zener Diode? Now, to most people, you're going to look at this giant thing and you're going to say, oh my goodness gracious, no way, no way. No way.
Don't anybody move.
Exactly. Just going to say, forget it. No. Okay. There is a Zener Diode in this schematic. Okay. And the easiest way to find it, how I learned this on the test, is look for the triangle with the weird looking Z on it. Okay. Take a good look now. All right. Triangle, weird looking Z. All right. That is a Zener Diode. That's number 5, okay? So a Zener Diode is number 5 on this schematic. You can always tell them whether they're vertical or horizontal because they'll have a triangle which represents the diode, and then it will have kind of that lazy Z. If you kind of use your imagination, it's just, yeah, anyway, lazy Z. Just remember that. Zener Diode, that's the way that one's done. All right, next question. On the U.S. General Exam, second highest license. And if you get this one, you get 97% of the frequencies that are available to ham radio operators. All right, next question. What causes HF? And again, HF means high frequency. And high frequency is a part of the radio spectrum that is from 3 megahertz to 30 megahertz. Okay, now 160 meters. That's not part of high frequency. No, it's not. It's part of the medium wave band. So it's the very top. So on your AM radio in your vehicle or in your home, 160 meters is just above the top of the AM dial. That's where it is. And so it really starts there at 80 meters. So it asks the question, what causes high frequency propagation conditions to vary periodically in a 28-day cycle? The answer is really surprising. It happens to be the sun rotation, the actual sun's rotation on its axis. Yeah, it can vary. It can really vary. It can make things unstable. It can make things better. It's just the way the sun reacts, because the sun is what controls our ability to make contact on HF. okay? Instead of like you think a radio station that just has a giant tower, right? And it transmits right to your vehicle or right to your home, our radios transmit up. They go way up high to the ionosphere of the Earth. And what they do is, because there's ionized particles and atoms up there that are charged by sunspots from the sun, the radiation hits those ions and those atoms in the ionosphere, and they're very active. Now, when our radio wave hits it, the ions vibrate quickly. That's what happens. And what causes that radio signal to bounce back down. So think of it this way. If you've ever seen a popcorn popper, right? You see it when it starts to pop. All the popcorn's going everywhere, right? Just pop, 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 pop all over the place. That's the way it is in the ionosphere when our signals hit it. It's just like popcorn popping everywhere. Those molecules are moving all over the place and vibrating, and our signal hits it because it's electrically charged, and it reflects it right back down to Earth. The cool part is because, like yesterday, right, we showed about the Earth. We talked about the ionosphere and how high things are. Remember? We talked about that yesterday, all right? And we talked about how high everything is, okay? Remember this chart? The ionosphere is split up into 4 layers during the day, D, E, F1, and F2, okay? The D layer is kind of like a blanket, okay, for high frequencies below about 7 megahertz. So pretty much figure 40 meters for the most part, but not necessarily all of it, okay? It's right about there where it attenuates. And the word attenuate means to limit the ability of, okay? So that D layer tends to limit the ability of frequencies below 7 megahertz, right in that area. Could be 7 to 8 megahertz, could be a little less than 7, depends on the sunspot activity, the geomagnetic field, but for the most part, 7 megahertz is the place that we look at. That's the milepost, okay, the guardrail kind of that we use as a rule, okay? So above the D layer, those are the first layers that actually reflect the signal, okay? The E layer is the first one that reflects the signal. That's way up there, 120 kilometers up. F1 then is at 200 kilometers high. F2 begins at about 280 kilometers or 20 kilometers, wait, let me get this right. It's 280 kilometers. It's about the height of the International Space Station, okay? But it goes up higher than that. It goes all the way to about 969 kilometers up above the Earth's surface. That layer is the one that really brings our signals a long ways, okay? So when our transmissions go way up there, think of how high that is, okay? When it bounces down from the ionosphere, it's going to bounce down a long ways from where it was sent. And that's because of the curvature of the Earth, okay? So when we send our signals out, they go up and out. Think of it kind of like a doorstop, okay? So, Fozzie, if you think of it like a doorstop, it's shaped like a triangle, okay? Our signals do that. They come up like this, and then what they do is they hit that ionospheric layer, and the popcorn happens, okay? And then the signal comes right back down. Now, if it comes down over water, like, say, an ocean, that can help our signals. Because what that'll do, because think about this, Fozzie, what's in the ocean? Salt and water. Well, that's ionized water. So when the radio wave hits that salt water, it bounces back up really good to the ionosphere. Quite a bit of signal left in it. Even signals that bounce on land will bounce back up usually to the ionosphere. Not always, but they can, okay? But over water, yes, they will bounce back up. So the ionosphere is huge to us in ham radio. And it's the reason why we can make long calls. That's why, that's why your dad can make calls to, say, the United States or into Russia or down to Africa, or these wonderful places around the world. That's why he can do it, because his signal goes way up high into space, even above the International Space Station, then bounces back down to somebody's home in a different country. That's how it works. Glad you're here today, Fozzie. It's a treat to have you. Thank you for being here. Next question. What symptoms may result from other signals interfering with a Pacter or Windmore transmission? All right, for new hams, people would like to be in ham radio. You've already turned us away, and I don't want you to do that. Pector and Windmore are simply digital modes like text messaging. Look at it that way. We have a million ways to text message, from radio teletype, really, to Morse code. We're going to learn it, I promise. We're still waiting on the package from MFJ. And also, things like FT8, Pacter, Windmore. Lots of different digital modes help us to send text messages. In fact, text messaging on cell phones began on the ham bands, okay? So what symptoms may result from other signals interfering with a Pacter or a Windmore transmission? All of them, okay? If your computer who's sending the signal through your radio has frequent retries or timeouts, or if it has long pauses in message transmission, meaning it's taken a long time to send that message, okay? Or it's maybe not able to establish a connection between stations. That could mean that there's another signal interfering with your transmission. Similar to what we have on maybe, FT8 or JT65, sometimes other folks will come in there and they can interfere with your signal. That can cause trouble when you're trying to use those modes. All right, next question on the general in the U.S. When is it permissible to communicate with amateur stations in countries outside the areas that are administered by the Federal Communications Commission? Okay, now in the United States, we are governed by the Federal Communications Commission. Those are our bosses, basically, here in amateur radio, okay? So when is it permissible to communicate with other amateurs, so other ham radio operators that aren't governed, meaning they're not under the control of the FCC? The answer is B. When the contact is with amateurs in any country except those whose administrations, meaning their leadership, the president or maybe the governor or the king, have notified the International Telecommunications Union, that's ITU, that they object to such communication. Okay, to make this simple, all right. Basically, you can contact anyone you want to, unless the country has talked to the International Telecommunications Union and said, we don't want to hear from you. So if they say, nobody call us, then they're on the list and we can't call them. There's no countries right now in the world that are actually on that list. So that makes it nice. We can contact anyone in the world right now in ham radio. We'll get your comments in just a moment, okay? Next question. Which of the following describes full break-in telegraphy? Okay. Now, this is really used basically in Morse code. Okay. So what this really means is you're listening to a Morse code communication and you'd like to say hello. All right. How do you do it? That's really what the question means. The answer is D. Transmitting stations can receive between code characters and elements. Now, this is when knowing Morse code is very important, or if you have a Morse code reader that's reading the signal real well, you'll know when they're done, because once they're finished, you'll see BK. That's the end of the message, okay? Once you see that, then you can put your call sign in. Maybe you just put that in, and then that's it. Then one of them hopefully will hear you and they will return your call sign. That's how it works. So you simply wait for them to have a break in their conversation. Once they have a break, you're good to go. Say hello. All right. Next question on the general, pardon me. Which of the following is a recommended way to break into a contact when using phone? All right, so we just talked about Morse code. What about when you're using a microphone? How do you get into a conversation with somebody? Say you've got somebody in London talking to someone in Paris, okay, and you hear them talking. How do you have the opportunity to maybe say hello to them? Both. What you do is you say your call sign during a break between transmissions by other stations. You see the similarity there between that and Morse code? It's the same thing. Yeah, just wait for them to have a pause. Once there's a pause between the stations, just say your call sign. If they hear you, they'll acknowledge you and they'll say hello. All right? Just let me get your comments in a moment. We have a young person here today. I'd like to make sure we stay on topic right now with the questions. And Stu, if Fozzie has any questions after all of this, put it in the comments, okay? I'd like to make sure and help. All right. Next question. On the general in the U.S., what language must be used when identifying your station if you are using a language other than English and making a contact using phone emission? Now, the answer is mangled, just mangled here. But the answer is English. That's it. You can only use the English language in the U.S., okay? If you're governed by the FCC, you have got to identify your station in English, no other language. You can talk. You want to talk in Spanish or French, maybe Portuguese, carry on a conversation with them. That's fine. You can do that. That's fully legal. But when it comes to that call, which has to come within every 10 minutes of the QSO as well as the end, according to the rule, Part 97, you have to say your call sign, and it must be in English. Okay? Next question on the general in the U.S. We got, hold on. We just, all of a sudden, I clicked one and literally 40 of them popped up and, highlighted. Brilliant. Two more. Here we go. What's the maximum bandwidth permitted by the Federal Communication Rules for amateur radio stations transmitting on upper sideband frequencies in the 60-meter band? Okay. It's just 2.8 kilohertz. Okay. If your radio typically is set to 2.9, like most, right? Or 3.0, cut it back to 2.8. If you're going to use 60 meters, you've got to use 2.8. That's the rule, okay? And the reason for that is there's 5 channels there. And those channels are there because they're there to protect shortwave stations. That's the real reason why. That's essentially part of kind of the upper part of what they call, what shortwave folks call the 49-meter band. They still call it that. Yep, but just 2.8 kilohertz. Make sure your radio is set there and you'll be fine. Also keep in mind, this is the only place below 10 megahertz that you're going to use upper sideband. Everything else under 10 is lower sideband, okay? It was a military thing. No joke. The military started using 60 meters and they always used upper sideband. They carried that over when we got 60 meters. That's no lie. Next question, final one today. All right, next and final of the general questions. You like a drum roll, make it kind of cool. Well, maybe not. Here we go. Thanks for the thumbs up. Even when they make a mistake, bless your heart. All right, we'll give you 2 real quick. Which of the following frequencies is within the general class portion in the United States, the 15-meter band, okay? This is where knowing the bands is important, okay? First of all, A is on the 20-meter band. B is on the 17-meter band. C is on the 15-meter band. And D is on the 12-meter band, okay? Just get a good idea of the frequencies. If you want to kind of pick in the middle, it might make it easier for you. That'll help you. If you really watch the band plan and you look at what the frequencies are, you'll be okay. All right. Last question. What is the power limit for beacon stations? Now, for people who are not in ham radio, a beacon is very helpful to us. What they do is essentially they just transmit their call sign, and then they transmit what would be a long dash, kind of like a long CW dash, okay? They'll do the first one at 100 watts, then there'll be a pause, then they'll do another long dash. That'll last about a second. That'll be at 10 watts, then they'll go at 1 watt, then they'll go at a tenth of a watt. Now, these are really important because they're all over the world, but there's only one in a geographic area. For example, in the United States, we have one in New York, we have one in California, we also have one in Hawaii, we also have one in Alaska, okay? But the point is you get a chance to know if you can work that area just by listening to the beacons. That's the easiest way to do it. And they all are at 100 watts output. No greater than that. No greater than 100 watts. Also, the reverse beacon network is really cool too. If you can just type in code into your radio, if your radio will do Morse code, for example, where it'll just record and play it, you can work reverse beacons easily by that way. And then if the beacon hears you, it's going to return your call sign. Pretty cool. Let you know if you're being heard there or not. All right, that's it for the questions. Let's go ahead and say some hellos to some folks here from all over the world. Truly an honor to see you. And Fozzie, thanks for coming. That's cool. I'm really thrilled about that. Stu's son, that's awesome. Stu, thank you for sharing that. That makes me feel really darn good. Stu said 14.260, 9 Golf, 5 Alpha Frank right now. His ears aren't good, though. Not good. Sorry about that. All right. Well, there you go. Nikolai, welcome back. Nikolai is here from Romania. Kenny in Maui loved you, man. He did. Kenny, when the show was over, Nikolai, Kenny came up to me and he said, Is that guy really in Romania? I kid you not. I said, yes, he's in Romania. He said, wow, I didn't know that YouTube was that powerful. No! Oh, gosh. Poor Kenny. Nice guy. Love him to pieces. Good guy. Totally good guy. So anyway, yeah, that was Kenny. But he remembered you. He really did. So thank you very much for coming back again. It's always a pleasure to see you, Nikolai. Thank you so much. All right. Let's see. Jim is here. Colfax, Washington, WX7Q. It's an honor to have you. Thank you, Jim. I told a story. We were in the islands, and I felt bad about this because I didn't really frame it well. I listened to it. I was like, well, that made no sense whatsoever. The guy, okay, there was a guy, great engineer, brilliant dude from Colfax, Washington. That's where he's from. He helped to start KDK Pittsburgh, which was the world's first commercial broadcasting station on radio. Really was. Then his passion took him to the Pacific, and he got the first station in the islands on as well, in Honolulu, KGU. And he made it by like 17 seconds or something like that. Weird number. Anyway, yeah, he did it twice. But the guy was from Colfax, Washington. So he got a little bit of him there in your city. A very famous guy, too, if you think about it. Hi, Greg. Good to see you. Greg says, afternoon, Larry. Yesterday, you pulled a signal out that barely at all showed on the waterfall. It really showed the power of the ear and filters. Thanks. Man, Greg, that is really nice of you. Thank you. Thank you so much, man. Gosh darn it. That means a lot. Thank you, Greg. I mean that. I am, if you could see me work a radio, you would probably think I'm really weird because I close my eyes. I do, because I listen. I just listen on the signal. I try not to look at anything because if I focus on something, I get distracted. If I got my eyes closed, I'm really listening. It's something I learned a long time ago in the shortwave hobby when I would DX stations from around the world. So that's how I do it. And it's part of the reason, really, why I'm like a hound dog on beef trying to find myself a Kenwood TS590 SG. Sorry, I almost said the 480HX, but looking for a 590 SG. Really, And there's one on eBay, right? $8.99. Then he wants like $70 for shipping. I got a hold of him, to ask him, okay, are there like any options? Do you have like a TXCO or the voice recorder like that? And he was real short with me. And I thought, okay, we're done now. I'm not going to work with you.
That's all, folks.
I'm not going to buy that one. Martin's here from the Netherlands. He's at work at the moment. Papa Echo 9, Tango India Golf. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Beacon starting from QRP 150 milliwatts, QRO max 100 watts. No, partially right. Yeah, they go, actually what they do, Gunter, is they'll be at 100, then 10 watts, then 1 watt, and 1/10 of a watt. So 1 milliwatt, no, 150 milliwatts, but you're close. That's good stuff. Yep, very good stuff. And look at these guys talking all German on me, man, and make me feel like I don't know what the heck I'm doing here.
No!
Anyway, thank you for being here. Yeah, he did remember you. He did. Yeah, he thought it was really cool that you were all the way in Romania. It's like, wow, that's pretty cool. Cliff Bolts finally got back on the air. Whiskey Delta 4, Oscar Bravo Papa. Welcome back, Cliff. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. Nice to see you. Well, we've been up all night. We'll see how much fun this show will be. Hopefully it's going to be, making sense, and I won't be speaking in tongues soon. Want to share with you a really cool thing. Moon bounce. We can bounce our signals off the moon and hear them in a different continent. No jokes. That's why people do it. It creates a chance for long-distance DX. Now, it's not done with a microphone. You just can't do that. Really, it goes with digital modes. Okay, we're going to take a look at what moon bounce looks like modern day. But where it started is the same place that gave us software-defined radio. Did you know that? It's a true story. The U.S. Navy was the one who they invented software-defined radios way back in the 80s. And then what they found out was that it was way too hard to do it because it took up a giant room for the computer to be able to make it work. Well, as microprocessors started getting smaller and computers started shrinking, Flex Radio came along in 2000, came out with their first software-defined radio for the amateur radio people, and that was where it all started for SDRs. Well, the Navy also invented moon bounce. Did you know that? Yeah, back in the mid-50s, the Navy, because they were really worried about Russia, and it was the same, right? U.S. was worried about Russia. Russia was worried about the U.S. Soviet Union, I guess it was at the time. And I think for the most part, the people in both countries just wanted to be friends. But I think politically, it was just a mess because we all just wanted to get along, Anyway, the U.S. Navy sent a signal from Maryland to California, bouncing it off the moon. Now, it was a giant antenna on both sides, giant dish antenna, right? But that's where it started, mid-1950s. Ham radio, of course, picked it up. Let's show you a little bit of EME, also known as moon bounce, and what it looks like. If you're new to ham radio, interested in ham radio, or perhaps you've always wanted to know about it, here's a great clip. I'll put the description in the comment section of the YouTube creator who made this video. Enjoy!
Okay, G0MTN EME attempt. 27th of May 2017, ARI contest weekend. 2 times 8 elements for 2 meters on a very much homebrew manual tilt mechanism. Garden parasol stand, and then a few 2-inch poles made up from bits of old Yagis. G4 CQM antennas, splitter, preamp at the masthead, and because we didn't have enough RF last time, I've now moved the amplifier out to the antennas. So we've got 100 watts JT65, hopefully pointing in the right direction, although as you'll see there's only a few narrow windows between the buildings and the trees. So
okay, so That's a 100-watt amplifier, okay? And he's going to be working on 2 meters, okay? So 100 watts, 2 meters is quite a bit. Most radios, most commercial radios today are either 35 or 50, right? But he's got an amplifier to pump it up to 100 watts. Getting all the way to the moon and back is quite hard to do. To make it work is even harder. And the reason why, the moon's surface isn't smooth, right? There's craters, there's mountains and hills. When we bounce signals off the surface of the moon, because the moon's not smooth, it can be warbly, it cannot be heard correctly, some of the signal might not reach us, and it's always weak, okay, for the most part. Not always, but for the most part, you have to work to get those signals in. Let's take a look at him now, working moon bounce on his radio. This is on a Yaesu. Enjoy.
So it's now Sunday morning, just after 9 o'clock local time. So just losing the ground gain from moonrise, approaching 10 degrees elevation. Just watching a QSO between Steve G4TRA and Gabriel EA6VQ, who has a very big signal. So let's see if we can follow up Steve and call Gabriel shortly. So calling again. So Gabriel had a QSO with Japan and Italy, and we're now trying to call him again. Fingers crossed this time. 10 degrees elevation. Well, golly gosh, look at that. OK1DIX heard me. So just transmitting now the RO message back to him at 10:30 local. 21 degrees elevation. Okay, trying for EA6VQ. It's quite loud, can hear him on the speaker. No, doesn't get me yet. Try again to call him. So he does say that he can't see a weak trace. So we'll see if we get him next time around. And after quite a bit of calling, the A6VQ finally hears me. So I'm getting him like neg 15, neg 16, pretty good. So just transmitting now my RO message back.
There you go. That's moon bounce. And those antennas, he has to keep them pointed at the surface of the moon as the moon rises. That's why he's talking about elevation, the elevation of the moon from the horizon. The antennas have to follow the moon. Make the call. It's got to bounce all the way out there, about 290,000 miles away, and then come all the way back somewhere else on Earth. It's fantastic. Truly is. Invented by the U.S. Navy back in 1955. Before satellites, that's why. And then it died because of satellites. Interesting, right? But the ham radio people never gave up on stuff like that. It's like, oh, hey, that works. Let's use that. Okay, cool. Anyway, we're going to talk about a Frankenstein antenna that I built that actually seems to work. I like it. Yeah, it works. This is simply a ham stick that I have here. I have one for 20, one for 40. This is just simply, the MFJ, I forget which antenna, it doesn't say here. This just says 40 meters. But basically, just a normal ham stick, what you'd use mobile, right? Okay, so what I have, just to give you an idea of how I put it together, and this isn't very high. It's pretty low off the ground, to be honest with you. But what I have is I have the MFJ 342T mirror mount, which is this right here. Okay, this is the mirror mount hooked to a pipe that I simply bought from Home Depot when we were in Hawaii. Okay, that's how we use the MFJ 2286 antennas. All right, so what I did was basically I just put my ground radios. What's nice about this is when you're building an antenna, and this is really good for Fozzie, okay? Antennas are kind of like your plugins. You know that, really, inside your house. There's there's two little prongs there, right? Sometimes three, okay, but really two straight ones, really, for the most part. I'm not sure what they look like in the UK, so bear with me. all right? But typically you have a power and you have ground, okay? Or you have a neutral, a hot, or the power wire, and then you have the ground. That's how it typically works with a power plug-in, okay? Same with our antennas, okay? We have a positive, which is our conductor. That's the piece that goes up and it radiates our signal, makes it go out to the world. But it doesn't work unless it's grounded, okay? So that means you need a piece of wire going up, or you could use a ready-built antenna like this, but you should also have wires in the ground that are cut to the same frequency as the antenna you're using, okay? So you take this, which is the MFJ, I think it's the 342T, and you use this here, and on the places here where you've got your nuts, okay, the little nuts and bolts, okay, there's a nut and a lock washer. You just remove one of those and you put your ground radials on, okay? Now I have 8 ground radials set up, okay? Then what I did was I used their coil, which is from the MFJ 2286. So it's the tapped coil that you use to adjust frequency. If you go to all the way to the top, you're essentially shorting it out. All I needed the coil for was a way to be able to plug in the stick. That's basically it. So I plugged in the coil to the stick. And once everything was plugged in, got everything all done, and I wanted just a little more height, you know, just get up a little bit more. And it's about another 7 or 8 inches. So I did it. But anyway, kind of looks a little bit like this, but there's a coil between them, okay? Comes out, goes into the tripod that I have. It's an MFJ tripod, and the tripod is called the 1918. Okay, so the 20-meter ham stick is $22 before tax. The tripod mount, which is great because you can use it not only for your antennas, but when you're building one too, right? If you're building a hex beam, perhaps you're going to be building some other kind of antenna that has to go sideways, you know, to help build it, you know, you can use that. Hex beams are that way. Cobwebs are that way. You know, the octopus antennas that use ham sticks that are kind of all around like this, they're that way. It'll hold them. It's a nice thing to have. So you get the tripod, that's $70 before tax. The MFJ 342T mirror mount for the antenna is $16 before tax. And then the 20-meter ham stick is $21.95 before tax. So total price for tax is $107.85. Okay, what's neat about this is you can pick whatever frequency you want to work. You essentially have a monoband antenna. That's all you have. You have one band, and then say you want to change it. That's okay. You could do that. If you cut your ground radials long enough for the longest frequency you want to work, you can use any ham stick you want, and it's going to tune. It really will. Let me show you what I came up with this morning, because, you know, at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, when you're awake because you can't sleep because the medicine the doc gave you, yeah, because, you know, you have nothing else to do with your life. Oh, the stories I could tell you guys. Yeah, that's how it was. So anyway, you know, just goofing around with it and trying to have a little bit of fun, give me something to do. And what I did was I started to build this thing, and I thought, you know, this thing would go together. I bet it would. If I shorted out the coil, because this is already a loaded coil antenna, okay, and Fozzie, what that means is this antenna is too short to work 20 meters. It should be longer than this. So what you do is you put wraps of wire around it to make it electrically longer. Okay, so it can be short like this, okay, but have enough wire to make it feel electrically longer to the radio, okay? It's not as long as it should be or as high as it should be, but the radio likes it because it says, hey, okay, that's pretty good. That works for me because, you know, that seems like it's a 20-meter antenna. Okay, so let me just kind of tell you where I was at with it. I had my Zoom out there in the middle of the night, and here's what I came up with, all right? Look at that. 1.05 to 1. That's with 8 ground radials cut to 32.5 feet. And that's with the MFJ 342T, which is the little, you know, trunk mount that I just showed you with, hook up the ground radials to. And then you just use the 2286. Sorry for the hiss there. I'm really sorry. We're going to fix that. We're trying to. The 2286 coil, okay? And then that gives a little more height. You just short the coil out by putting the alligator clip at the top. Strangely enough, you have to short it out for 40 or 20. Either one you short it out for. At least that's what I found, okay? So 1.05 to 1. It screams really well. The problem is it's really low. So it's going to be shooting the antenna almost straight up. It's going to be like an NVIS antenna. But we'll give it a shot. We'll see if it does anything. I have yet to make a call with it. But I thought, hey, we'll try it for a few minutes. If it doesn't work, we'll move to an antenna that does. And since Fozzie's here, we'll have a little fun. So let's see what we got. And hopefully we can make it work. There's parks on the air on 20 meters. Lots of it. Really? Today? On a Thursday? My goodness. Wonderful. Okay, well, let's take a look and see what's on the air right now. We'll go to the Yaesu FTDX10 because that's what we can put directly on the screen. That's the only reason why. Just not that I don't like the icon, just because this is a lot easier to do it this way. Let's listen. And again, I've heard signals, but I haven't been able to work one yet. This only, in fact, I'll show you a photo of it here in a moment. It's not very high. It's maybe 12 feet up. And that's its problem. It's just not high enough. Okay, now I'm turning the preamp on because I got a very low antenna and it's really hard to pick something up. Okay, let me give you the difference in this signal between this antenna and one that's at a decent height. Okay, listen. I'll switch to the other antenna. Can you say night and day? Yeah, see, that's the difference right there. So going to an antenna with optimal height, or at least height that's more reasonable, will give you that. So I think we'll just kind of call this an experiment that we tried, okay? And I'll try it again. I'll keep working at it because I'd love to see if it works. You know, in the middle of the night, sometimes you come up with good ideas. Let's see if we can say hello to some folks. Here we go. Trying to just cut back without using the digital noise reduction, just using the Heil parametric. Got stations side by side. Let's get it close. You see, I think they're about 3 apart. Let's look. So you can see hello. This person's in Tennessee. It's quite a ways from me. So if we can make this call, this will be over 2,000 miles away at 100 watts. And not over water, just going to bounce, up off the ionosphere, hopefully, and reach him.
Yeah, we had quite a bit of rain last night. I'd say probably a couple inches, which is really unusual for here. Yeah, it gets humid in the summertime. It's starting to get humid now. But everything is, the leaves are starting to pop out. Flowers are coming up and so forth. So it's springtime here. But, of course, the worst part is when we get real nice day this time of year, and we start getting thunderstorms and tornadoes. 1 year ago, we had one come by, it was an EM4, and the weather alert went off in the middle of the night, said there was a tornado, and alert, and it would arrive where we are in 12 minutes. So I woke up the wife, we got down, we're gonna shutter underneath my shack.
And Lee, I see your comment. We'll take a look, okay? Lee Rosselli, Whiskey Alpha 8, Romeo November Bravo. Parks on the air, 14.335, Oklahoma, and 14.293 in Kansas. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate you bringing that to the channel. Thank you, buddy.
People took down 150 houses, something like that. Bunch of other stuff.
See, the signals are right next door. See the other one?
Down near Nashville.
And Stu, go ahead and show Fozzie what I'm talking about. You can see those two signals are literally side by side.
Kind of hard stuff. They had them all on my front. It took me 2 days to clean it all up. Came from the warehouse there.
Try and bring it a little better for him to see it.
Destroyed. Found some paperwork from the same place. Some kind of warehouse. It's the first time that ever happened, but that was a little too close for comfort. Go ahead.
Kilo 7 Hotel November. We should be able to make this call. We should. Again, not using noise reduction here. We're just running off the Heil parametric, using a little bit of contour to try and bring in the signal. Just a little bit. Just to try and take a little of the hash out.
The area you're in there.
So this is Tennessee on one end, talking to Colorado on the other, about 1,500 miles apart.
It's real hilly, this part of town. You go towards Nashville, and you hit Nashville, it's fairly flat. But then you go further out south towards the center of Memphis, and you hit flat out in that area. That's where they really get hit hard with the storm. Storm through there, but it's not too bad here. It seems to slow down and kind of swing either to the east of us or west of us here. Generally.
Okay, they're going to keep talking. Let's go. Hold on a second. Stu, evening meal almost ready, so we'll be going soon. Larry Fozzie's really interested. Thank you for, oh my goodness. Hey, this has truly been an honor, Stu. Really, thank you. Thank you for bringing him. What a joy. Fozzie, thank you very much. Truly mean that. This has really meant a lot to have you on the show today. And I believe from all of us here that are literally from around the world that are watching this show right now, okay, we want to wish you the very best, okay? And we hope to see you in ham radio soon. We really do. We'd love to see you come into ham radio because we need young people just like you, Fozzie, okay? So listen to your dad, learn from your dad, and do your best. Work hard in science. Science will help you a lot, okay? our very best to you, Fozzie. Thank you so much for being on today's show. That was one of the biggest treats we've ever had here on the... No, studio audience, we need better applause than that. Let's rev that up. Come on now. Okay. You guys, you take it easy, all right? Thank you so much for coming. All right, let's take a look here. We'll see if we can take a look at these parks on the air on a Thursday. Interesting. Let's take a look. Hey, we got Bill Carter's here, Alpha Bravo 9, Quebec Union. Thank you so much for being here. Bill, it's an honor. Thank you for coming today. I think it's the first time. I mean that sincerely. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. All right, let's take a look at these signals here that are parks on the air. I guess we got one in Tennessee, one in Alberta, Canada. Let's take a look. Let's try it. Let's go at the top. We'll go at 14,335 first, okay? Let's see if we can hear him. It's got to be him. Digital. Some digital there. Okay, hold on. Let's go to 293 and 228, okay? Somebody way out there. Kilo 7 Hotel November. Yeah, Kilowatt 7 Hotel November. You're about 3 by 5 here into Independence, Oregon. QSL. QSL, thanks. Good luck to you. Kilo 7 Hotel November, QSY. All right. Thank you, Lee. There's one. My goodness. Not bad. All right. Let's take a look at what the next one is. 228. There's a chance on that one. Better chance on that one, I think. Let's see. This antenna sincerely needs some tender, loving layer on it, I think. I hate to say care. Sorry, making a joke. Some tender, loving care. It's been through a tough winter out there. So you can see the spikes there. Yeah. Let's take a look. We'll see if we can find a quick signal.
With the cold weather, you'll get out to the truck and you fog your glasses up. It's something else, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, that's how folks are like to realize. Going to a doctor and a grocery store. Go ahead, Gordon.
Kilo 7 Hotel November.
That's it, Reed. In fact, when I do get in town, I'm always getting out of the car. My wife yells at me, putting the mask on. She get all done. Trying to go in there, they want most of don't really think about it. But these people that, like down the beaches and stuff and all that kind of stuff, all of our people, some people are just not happy. I don't understand their thinking, and I don't think they're immune. It's just like the people around here that die every year from the tornadoes. They don't pay any attention
Grab
to
a piece of
weather,
paper here.
and then they don't get the weather radios, which back here, man, you gotta have. I've got smoke this up here tonight.
We're back at the same place. I know. We're just trying to say hello if we can to somebody. Maybe Fozzie sees this on replay. He'll hear a call. That would be nice. If we can't, we'll just move to 17. Just quickly open my eyes there and realize, okay, same frequency. Wow, the signal was 17. 17, going to be much quieter. There's less noise up on 17 for new hams than there is on the 20 meter and 40 and 60 and 80 and 160 and 75 and just quieter. We got to park. That's okay.
I don't know why they throw them away, but the fella had to have 200 or 300 watts. That's still good.
Kilo 7 Hotel November.
Oh, yeah.
K7HN.
I don't know. Those last ones I bought, you might have drive with 100 watts and get some ringing.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, Kilo 7 Hotel November, QTH, Independence, Oregon, doing a live YouTube show teaching some ham radio today, including a 7-year-old in the UK. So I wanted to say a quick hello to both of you from Oregon. Tell you you've got a fine signal. You're both about a 5.5 here on a compromised antenna today. Go ahead.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm just outside of Portland, so probably local propagation here. I'm operating remotely. I'm actually in San Diego, but the remote station is in Portland. The call here is Alpha Echo 6 Hotel Foxtrot. And the other station is my dad. His name's Tom, and his call is Whiskey 5 Tango.
I've got the Whiskey 5. What's the rest of it? I'm sorry.
Whiskey 5 Tango.
Very cool. I got to tell you, I love your call sign. Who wouldn't want HF at the end of their call? That's amazing. Guys, thank you so much for letting me come in and say hello. I'll log both of you here. I've got you on my end here at about a 5x5. So thank you very much for being on Ham Radio Live. God bless you guys both. 73 from Oregon. This is Kilo 7 Hotel November. Thank you both to Alpha Echo 6 Hotel Foxtrot And Whiskey 5, Charlie Charlie Tango, Kilo 7 Hotel November is clear.
All right, thank you very much for the contact. Have a great afternoon, and a great rest of your day there. Kilo 7 Hotel November from
73s as well. See you later. Keys of 7HN clear. All right, there we go. And that one right there, we absolutely had to do for Fozzie right there. Yep, that's for Fozzie. All right, Fozzie. Yeah, about 1,000-mile QSO. So nice to be able to make that to warm, sunny Southern California. Let's look at your final comments before we close it and say goodbye. Yeah. So that'll be it. So I want to thank you all for coming today. Thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure to spend the time with you. It's like sharing the shack. I thought of that today. I thought, this show has become like sharing the shack. Thank you. It's nice to have you here. Welcome. Sit down, and hang out. It's fun. Really mean that very, very much. Very, very much. All right. So let's see. Final comments. Wow. Texas is over at 14308. Lee is just scoping out them parks on the air. Lee, way to go, man. That's awesome. Good for you. Good for you. All right, we're going to close the show. This is very important. I really want you to see this. I do. Ham radio is more than just a hobby. It is. And I'm not going to get into the licensing versus hobby thing. It's fruitless. I'm going to tell you it means something. It does. It means something to all of us. It's personal. It comes from the heart. Listen to this. If it doesn't maybe give you a few tingles and maybe water your eyes a little bit, you might want to check your pulse. My name's Larry. My call sign's Kilo 7 Hotel November. Please subscribe. Don't monetize anything here. You didn't see any ads the whole show. I just asked you subscribe. This is my way of giving back. Thank you so much for watching the show. Till I see you again next time, thank you so much for being here. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, this is MD8F. Mr. Ed, I heard you just enough to tell me to go right ahead, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, would appreciate a clear frequency just for a few moments as we pay our final respect to some of our deceased members. Line number 2 on the work list tonight was not a member, but he had checked in. Call sign Whiskey 4 Kilo Papa W4 KKP. That was Charles in South Carolina. Just a little history behind this gentleman. He was a World War II veteran, and the QRZ listing for him listed him as the world's oldest active ham radio operator. He was 109 years old. 109. And we thank this gentleman. We salute him. Thank him for his service. W4KKP, Mr. Charles, South Carolina. It is your turn for a call, sir. W4 Kilo Papa, Mr. Charles, South Carolina. It is your turn for a call, my friend, ND8F. W4KKP, ND8F. Mr. Charles, have you haven't made your last call and is back to net control, my friend? Again, thank you for your service to our great country. Rest in peace, my friend. Rest in eternal peace.